Alrighty, so I'd like to thank you for joining me today. I enjoyed seeing The Great Gatsby, and I'm super excited to have you on. And
Thank you for
so,
having me.
of course, and so before we jump into your current production, I want to talk a little bit about your journey to the stage. And so,
Mm,
was there a specific moment when you realized that you wanted to do theater, and when did you get bit by the bug?
Bit by the bug. I was bit by the bug when I was growing up. I used to listen to my dad sing a lot, and I loved listening to my father sing. My family, we would go to church every Sunday, and I would stand next to my father and listen to him sing. And I think that's kind of where I started to learn the idea of kind of rejoicing through music. I'm not super religious anymore, but I remember that feeling of loving singing with him specifically. And then later on, when I started seeing stuff like High School Musical, for example, when that came out, that was such a big moment, at least growing up for me. I started to realize that, oh, maybe that is what I want to do. And then that kind of later spitballed into my parents being like, okay, let's show him Singing in the Rain, like, Frank
Yeah,
Sinatra, Gene Kelly, like the greats, the greats, the
yeah,
great, the greats. And then that kind of scratched an itch for me. And then I just kept going and going. And then, funny enough about High School Musical, my parents found this camp that was doing like a production of High School Musical. I think we were like, it was like springtime. I was really young. And they're like, oh, we'll just like send him and like see what happens and see if he likes it. And it was all over. It was all
yeah.
over after that. And I had performed as a kid, but wasn't the same. There was something about this that I remember in that large cafeteria auditorium that I can't believe we were performing in that auditorium actually, now that I look back at it. But that was the first time that I remember being like, oh, this is something that has a process that you show up, you do this show, you meet your family and friends and or people you don't know after, friends of others. And it kind of started to build this idea of community with theater, and then it became a more tangible thing for me. And then from then, I just kept doing theater, kind of my whole life after that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so, as a performer, who are some of your biggest inspirations?
Mm, Gene Kelly,
Yeah.
um, Gavin Creel, may he rest in peace. Um, we just actually, I think, had about a year of when Gavin passed away, and like Gavin kind of set the tone of what a musical theater male voice could be.
Yeah.
And I remember feeling so seen by him, knowing never met him or anything like that. I remember in college listening to him sing like Millie and him and
Yeah.
Hello Dolly. And I mean, there's, oh, his hair revival is so good. And I just remember being like, this man can do so many things and he's not put in a box. And I was really inspired by that. Um, and I think there's some excellent, excellent dancers that have also paved the way. I mean, I find as if these dancers, these performers that do theater, have to fight so many different roads to get to where they want to go. And I think looking at these people and seeing how many obstacles they overcome really inspired me to keep going and keep pursuing theater, especially through college and that kind of time out of college. Um, I'd say my first and foremost is Gene Kelly.
Yeah, for sure. Those are some great inspirations. And so you studied at Point Park University,
I did.
where you got your BFA in musical theater and dance. And so, how did your time
Yes.
at PPU help you grow as an artist?
PPU was great. So when you audition for schools, you try for so many. You kind of just throw the spaghetti at the wall and like hope that something sticks. And I'd had a few friends of mine that had went to PPU and talked very highly of it. And I knew the dance program was like the second best in the nation at the time. And it was a really, really popular place to go for dance. And dancing was kind of like my niche at the time. Because I'd been working like regionally and professionally before that, mostly because I was tall and looked like an adult, but I was under 18, so they could have me in the adult ensemble
Yeah.
and for it was a bit easier for them to have me in there. So I got a lot of good kind of groundwork of what being a professional was. And I'm so grateful for that. Shout out to Louis Wilkenfeld, Jenny Grady, and Diane Alexander. Those three really like they gave me that cement that taught me how to do this and do this respectfully and like an adult from a young age. And then when I got to school, I realized that, oh, okay, so that knowledge that I have can only continue to be honed in. And I learned that I wasn't just a dancer. I learned that I could do so much more. I could be a lead. I could be a straight actor. I could do plays. I could do these genres and corners of theater that I never knew. Well, I knew existed, but I didn't know I could do them. And it gave me that power to then step out into the world and realize that I could truly do whatever I put my mind to. Now, it's hard to put that practice to permanence, but I find I look back at my fearlessness kind of in college, and I try to bite back onto that every once in a while because it taught me to just kind of jump into things, even if you don't know how it's really going to go. And I got good dance training. I got good vocal training. I got, my vocal teacher in college was amazing, Tim Marquette. I love him so much. Ziva Barzell was the head of our program. She, took such good care of us and taught us so, so, so much. And I still reference back to her, all the things those professors taught me to this day.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. And so you're currently touring around with the Great Gatsby around North America, where you're
Hmm.
swing and you serve as the dance captain. And so, what?
Not the dance captain,
Oh,
sorry,
fight
the
captain,
fight
fight
captain. Yeah,
captain.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
And so, what was your first experience with the Great Gatsby?
My first experience with The Great Gatsby was actually we did the show in Korea, funny enough. I'm going to take this actually all the way back. So our associate for the show is his name is Cedric Dodd, and he is the associate choreographer underneath Dominique Kelly, the legend Dominique Kelly. And I've taken Dominique's class in LA, which is where I'm from originally, and I was obsessed with Dom's choreography, and I had known Cedric from most of my life, doing shows together in that hometown area at that regional theater, and we'd worked professionally for years. And all of a sudden, one day, I see that Cedric is going to be this associate for The Great Gatsby, and that was the first time it ever clicked in my brain about what the show was. And it never came from a place of ever thinking or imagining myself to be in it. But I just was so filled with pride for my friend who was getting his Broadway debut and getting all of these things. That was the first time I ever like had Great Gatsby kind of like pop in my brain. So I always had it as this like trickling idea in my brain.
Yeah,
And I was obsessed with the album. The album is
incredible.
incredible, like incredible. Like one of Jason Howland's music is that man
Yeah,
is a legend. I'm obsessed with him. Jason, if for any reason you're hearing this, I love you. And I never really, yeah, like kind of like I said, I never really thought I was going to be a part of it. I really didn't think it was for me. I'm really tall. I'm a really, really tall guy.
yeah,
And I just didn't see myself in the show. And one day I got a message asking where I was, and I was in New York at the time. And I was like, I'm just kind of ditzing around New York, auditioning, doing my thing. And he's like, great, we'll see you tomorrow at 2:30. And then I did a whole month of auditions and callbacks, and next thing you know, I was had an offer to go to Seoul, South Korea to do the show with Matt Doyle leading it.
yeah.
It was it I'd worked for a while, but I never had something so beautiful and so big drop in my lap in such a serendipitous way. And I'd never felt so much like in a long time that someone like really wanted me in the space. So I went to Korea. I did that for about 5, 6 months. That was last year of June, because I remember it was around my birthday. We rehearsed in New York. And then we went to Korea, set up the show, did the show for a while, and it was just like a magical, crazy whirlwind experience. And I never thought I would do theater outside of the country. I
Yeah.
never thought of that as a thing. Like I know it happens, but I never really thought about it as a tangible thing. And then next thing I know, I was there and I was learning the language and I was eating the food and I was buying the clothes. And it also came at such a perfect time in my life. I needed so badly to kind of break away from um, the timeline I was on in my life at the time. And it is a gift that just truly landed in my lap at the perfect time.
Yeah, for sure. That's an incredible journey. And so the tour opened up recently, and
Hmm.
so it has a good amount of stops coming up. And so
Yeah.
where have been some of your favorite stops to go, and where are you looking forward to heading?
Well, Chicago is always going to be my favorite stop because Chicago's the best town literally ever. Any reason I can come to Chicago, I will come. And it just is a great city. Great theater city. We have the best audiences. People have been, I mean, you saw like people have
Yeah,
been so supportive and kind to us. And we're only here for 2 weeks. I mean, sometimes I've been here and people have been here for like a very long time. And like, we grow audience sizes as we go because it's a theater's a very word of mouth type of thing, and especially when you come to these markets, these big theater markets. But you guys have really shown up and shown out for us, and it's really cool. My other one I really liked Greenville, South Carolina, actually.
wow.
I know it sounds like it'd be just like a random city, but it's like so walkable, it's so scenic. The food was great, everyone was super kind, and yeah.
That's awesome. And so to wrap up this section of Gatsby, of Great Gatsby, I have some rapid fire questions that I do with everyone
hit me
guest in the show.
hit me
Which moment in the score is your favorite to sing?
I'm not making this so rapid fire. I'm sorry. Um, I I think um, I don't know what is my favorite thing to sing in the show. I mean, I love the whole entire score. Can it be something I don't sing?
Yeah.
Okay, I love the last section of Beautiful Little Fool.
Yes, it's so beautiful.
Um, yeah, when she's like, sometimes when I'm like really feeling my oats and like no one is home, I will belt Beautiful Little Fool like my freaking heart depends on it because I think it's so well here, I'm not going to get into all the details of it, but I think it is so beautifully written. And
Yeah.
I think it's so smart to place a song about women empowerment and the way that women were treated back then at the very, very end
End
of
of
the
the show.
show,
Yeah.
instead of having it be something that you get to see at the beginning. Because you watch Daisy the entire time and you're
Yeah.
like, why is Daisy like, why am I rooting for her? And why is she also kind of like a bad character at the same time? And then at the end, you get that insight into her and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
duh, like we did this. We don't treat women correctly. We put her in this box. And then she lashes out. She has that release.
Yeah, for
I think
sure.
that moment. I think the end. And the fool.
And so which Great Gatsby character would you like to play for one night?
Myrtle.
Yes, such a fun
Easy.
track. Such a fun
Easy.
track.
Easy. Myrtle's the best. Myrtle is okay. My second one I would sing would be One Way Road. Because I send One Way Road to all my girly pops, and I'm like, you have to sing this song. This song is
Yeah.
perfect. Um, I love Myrtle. Myrtle is just like, again, a misunderstood character
Yeah.
who is put in the wrong scenario. Not necessarily a good character, but misunderstood and
Yeah.
put in a hard scenario in her life. Myrtle. Who would you play?
I would do probably Nick. He has a fun track. I mean,
Yeah, he does.
yeah,
He
he
has a
has some fun
hard
songs.
track.
It's a hard track, but it's a lot of fun. He barely leaves the stage too, so
No, I mean, Josh, who plays Nick, I've been lucky enough to see almost all of the Nicks that we've
yeah.
had. And to see Josh come in and like just he's so honest. He's so honest. And yeah, it's a great role. It's a fabulous role.
Yeah, for sure. And so the final rapid fire, how do you like your tea?
How do I like my tea?
Yeah.
It depends. If I'm gonna sing, I want like a little bit of throat coat, a little bit of honey, and like a squeeze of lemon. But if I want to have it like sometimes I'll have a little bit of chamomile tea with like a little bit of oat milk and
Yeah.
call it a day. Maybe a little bit of Splenda.
Yeah.
And actually, our drummer, Jago, got me back on my cream and sugar in my
Yeah,
tea because he was like, "Oh, Kurt, we're gonna come here. We're gonna have tea, and you would
yeah.
make the tea." And I would always be like, "I have not had cream and sugar in my tea in forever." And he kind of got me back on that kick. So I think that is how I would have it most recently, with
That's
cream and
awesome.
sugar.
And so what advice would you give to your younger self?
Oh my God, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine, and don't worry so much about how it's all gonna work out. And one person's no does not mean that they're saying no. Like no's aren't no's to me. It's a no from them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I wish there would have been moments in my life that I would have taken no's and taken them as redirection instead of taking them so personally. Because when I take things personally, and I think we're all human like this, it's hard to not get insecure and go inside, and think that you're not worthy. But it's actually just you're not the right fit. And I have learned over the years to kind of see that sometimes when you get a no, it's okay because you probably were not right for that, and the world is probably saving you from doing a show that you were just not meant to be a part of.
Yeah, for sure. That's great advice. And so this next one wraps into the last one. What advice would you give to younger performers who want to pursue a career in acting?
Keep going. Just always keep going. I say this all the time because there's no rule book for this. Like you can do, I think the whole like exciting aspect of theater is that there is no rules. I think you can kind of find your own like route in theater, but that's also the most frustrating part is that there's no way to truly be like, okay, if I'm going to be a doctor, I'm going to do this, this, and this. But if you're going to do theater, or any sort of performing arts, you're gonna kind of listen by word of mouth, like, oh, this person did this, I'll try this out. And then if it works for you, okay, then I'll go to the next step and I'll take these classes. And then, okay, I'll go to this university and I'll do these things. And that is like, I guess, the more cookie cutter way of doing it. That's what I did. I followed what people before me told me to do. And it did work out for me, but it's the in-betweens where you get those no's, you feel like you're not good enough, you feel like maybe you're not talented enough, that you can't do all of these things that make you want to retrieve back to potentially giving up, not moving forward. And I always tell people when I teach them, you just have to keep doing it. Like if it's this small black box theater with 90 seats, or it's this huge regional house, or if it's this Broadway national tour, it's this Broadway show, it's this West End show. We're all doing the same thing on different scales, but it's all the same magic. So you have to treat it all the same. And if you keep going and keep going and keep going and not judging where you're at, you will then turn around one day and realize that you have gotten to exactly where you want to be. Because at least for me, speaking, like I was in the regional market forever, doing gigs with some incredible people in LA because I'm from LA originally, and most of my credits are LA credits and in these regional houses that kind of shaped me to where I am now. And I'd done some big things before Gatsby, but like this was like definitely the biggest thing to land in my lap. And I literally turned around the other day when we opened in Chicago because I've been dreaming of playing Chicago for a
Yeah.
while, like actually playing at like one of the big touring houses. And I had to look at the Cadillac Theater and be like, oh my God, I am exactly where I've been asking to be for so long. And so then the other advice I would give on that is when you get to those places, sit in it and be really proud of yourself because so many of these moments can pass you by, without acknowledging them.
Yeah, for sure. That's great advice. And that actually wraps up the interview today. I'd like to thank you for joining me.
Oh, amazing.